Television. We bring you the latest, hottest, and spot-on news as it makes the rounds all over the world. Reporting from the nooks and crannies of both rural and urban communities. Talk of politics, business, sports, entertainment, events, and many more. You can trust us with your airtime and view time because we are binoculate. We are Immaculate Television. ITVS. Wherever, whenever there is a story, that is where you find us. Where the gist is developing, that is where we cast our net. Where there is a drama, you can trust us to act it out. And where there is news, reporting is our delight. Even across the nation, Nigeria, you're welcome to ITVS World News. My name is Anuluakbo Idowu. And we kickstart with a story from Nigeria, where 48 civil society organizations in Nigeria call on President Bola Tinubu to declare the state of emergency regarding the country's security situation. The coalition held a press conference in Abuja yesterday, and last week, 3 people were killed in 2 days of clashes in Central Plateau State, while capital Abuja has also witnessed a series of kidnappings some days before the trial. Awam Musa, who spoke on behalf of the civil group, said 4,243 people had been killed in mass atrocities-related incidents, while about 1,872 persons have been abducted between May 2023, when President Tinubu assumed office, and 26th of January this year. He continued that they are concerned about the upsurge in abductions, noting that at least 230 incidents, in most of which multiple victims were involved, occurred within the first 2 weeks of January 2024 alone. Meanwhile, Abuja's police force recently launched a special squad to tackle kidnapping gangs across the region. Away from Nigeria now to Ghana, where a court in Ghana has sentenced 12 people to life imprisonment after it found them guilty of killing an army officer 7 years ago. They were part of 14 suspects who were accused of lynching Major Maxwell Mahama in May 2017 in Dankura, Obuasi area, sparking an uproar in the country. The High Court in the capital, Accra, on Monday found the 12 guilty of counts of murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and abetment of murder. They include a local politician who was also accused of rallying the community to attack the soldier while he was jogging. The 32-year-old major was on duty in Dankura, Obuasi, located in the country's central region, when he was attacked by a mob over allegations that he was an armed robber. According to reports, he was also among soldiers deployed to the area to protect a local mine. Meanwhile, there were widespread outrage across the country when news of his death broke. And following the incident, over 50 suspects were rounded up, out of which 14 were eventually screened for prosecution. The government posthumously promoted him to the rank of major and gave him a state burial in Accra. In 2019, authorities unveiled a statue of the slain soldier in Accra to serve as national campaign against mob action. From Ghana now to Zimbabwe, where Zimbabwe has launched a cholera vaccination campaign targeting more than 2 million people against the waterborne disease. The current outbreak, which began early last year, has been linked to more than 400 deaths and over 21,000 suspected infections across the country. About half of the cases involve children, and the vaccination campaign is being done house to house in collaboration with United Nations agencies, and is targeting Zimbabweans aged 1 year or older. Health authorities are giving priority to 26 districts considered to be the epicenters of the diseases. The Southern African region has been battling the cholera epidemic since early last year, and the outbreak has resulted in more than 188,000 infections and over 3,000 deaths, mainly in Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and Zambia, according to the United Nations Humanitarian Agency, OCHA reports. And now in Sudan, the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, ICC, says that there are grounds to believe that Sudan's warring military factions are committed to serious crimes in Darfur region, and Karim Khan that his office is collecting a very significant body of material, information, and evidence indicating that Sudan's regular army and the paramilitary rapid support forces, RSF, have committed genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and the crime of aggression in Darfur region. The investigation by Mr. Khan's office began in July last year, shortly after fighting erupted between Sudan's army and the RSF, and more than half a million refugees have fled into Chad to escape the violence in the region. And Mr. Khan also warned that the situation in Darfur is escalating and urged Sudan's authorities to cooperate with the ICC's investigations. United Nations and human rights groups have previously voiced concern following reports alleging that the RSF and allied forces have killed hundreds of ethnically African Masalit people in West Darfur in ethnic cleansing airstrikes and attacks. There are fears that the current war could deteriorate into a deeper conflict as was witnessed in the early 2000s when more than 300,000 people were killed and millions displaced in Darfur in a war that was marked by targeted ethnic cleansing attacks. In Angola, Angola's state-owned oil company, Sonangol, has dismissed reports that a vessel targeted by Houthi fighters last week in the Gulf of Aden was part of its fleet. The tanker with links to the United Kingdom was on fire for several hours last Friday in the Gulf of Aden after being hit by a missile fired by the Houthis. The Iran-backed movement based in Yemen said it targeted the Mali Luanda in response to American-British aggression. The dismissal came in response to reports by Angolan media outlets linking the Malian Luanda vessel to Sonangol. Malian Luanda operated on behalf of Singapore-based commodity trader Trafigura, flies the flag of the Marshall Islands. Trafigura is one of the main suppliers of diesel and marine diesel to Angola. It is also a shareholder in the Puma Energy Company, which controls the Pumangol petrol stations in Angola. Other shareholders in Puma Energy include Sonangol. Away from that as well now, the India's Navy has rescued 19 Pakistani nationals after Somali pirates captured their fishing vessel off the coast of Somalia. 11 Somali pirates had boarded the Iranian-flagged fishing vessel Al Naimi and taken all the crew members hostage, according to the navies. The responding Navy officers compelled the safe release of the crew and the vessel after India's INS Sumatra Navy patrol ship intercepted the hijacked fishing vessel, India's Navy said on Tuesday. The rescue of Pakistanis was the second anti-piracy operation carried out by the INS Sumitra within 36 hours. They had earlier rescued 17 people that had been taken hostage by Somali pirates on another Iranian-flagged fishing vessel in the Gulf of Aden. There are concerns about the surging attacks on vessels off Somalia's coast amid the recent wave of missile attacks by the Red Sea. Away now from the shores of Africa to Colombia, where a woman who has been charged with wildlife trafficking after Colombian police found 130 poisonous frogs in her luggage at Bogota airport on Monday. The animals were discovered in a small film canisters and were dehydrated and stressed, according to officials. The Brazilian woman, who was headed to Sao Paulo via Panama, said she had been given the frogs as a gift from a local community in southern Colombia. Local police said the amphibians can fetch up to $1,000, about 780 euros each. Bogota Environment Secretary Adriana Soto said the fine for being in possession of one of the frogs could reach 56 million pesos, about $14,300. Aliquin frogs, also known as poison dart frogs, measure less than half the size of a human thumb. Their skin glands produce highly toxic poison, which has in the past been used by indigenous people to coat the tips of darts they use for hunting. It is strong enough to kill small animals. Harlequin frogs are critically endangered species which can be found in humid forests along the Pacific coast between Ecuador and Colombia and in other countries in Central and South America. Their endangered status make them highly sought after by private collectors in international markets, according to local police. And here is the report.
مستعجبين.
ازاي كل ما كان زي مريض زي النظام
غريبة، ده وحدات خاصة. مريض في سلاحهم نفس الشيء.
سؤالك كيف بدك؟ محمد فهمتني سؤال
راحت العلامات حالهم في العلم حالهم.
السلطة لقت بحمايتهم عساكر اثنين. خليك زي ما انت.
Of Pakistan, where former Pakistani Prime Minister Imran Khan has been sentenced to 10 years in jail in a case which he was accused of leaking state secrets. Khan was ousted by his opponent as PM in 2022. Is already serving a 3-year jail term after being convicted of corruption in the country. He has called all the charges against him politically motivated, and the conviction under the Secret Act comes the week before general elections in which he is barred from standing. Former Foreign Minister Shah Mahmood Qureshi, the Vice Chairman of Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek and his staff PTI party, was also sentenced to 10 years in prison by the special court set up inside Adjala jail in Rawali, Pindi, where both men are being held. The so-called Saifa case also revolves around the alleged leaking of secret diplomatic correspondence sent by Pakistan's ambassador in Washington to Islamabad when Khan was Prime Minister. It relates to his appearance at the rally in March 2022, a month before the former cricketer was ousted from power in a vote of no confidence. Imran Khan appeared on stage waving a piece of paper that he says showed a foreign conspiracy against him. Meanwhile, the prosecution said that the former PM's action amounted to leaking a classified document and damaging diplomatic relations. The later charge can lead to life imprisonment or even death penalty. Imran Khan has been held in Adjala jail since August, and local media reported that the judge had recently been told to expedite the trial. And now to Israel, where Israeli forces have killed 3 militants inside a hospital in Jenin in the occupied West Bank. The CCTV footage showed members of an undercover unit disguised as medics and other civilians making their way through a corridor with rifles raised. The Israeli military said the militants were hiding in the hospital and that was what was about to carry out an attack. The Palestinian Authority's Ministry of Health accused Israel of carrying out a new massacre inside hospitals. Hamas, an armed Palestinian Islamist group which is fighting a war in Israel in Gaza, is triggered by unprecedented attacks on Israel on the 7th of October and said all Israeli forces had executed 3 fighters, including one of its members. Another armed group, Palestinian Islamic Jihad, said 2 of those killed were its members and were brothers. The security camera video from IBN Sinai Hospital shows several members of the Israeli undercover unit, men and women, hurrying through a corridor, training their weapons left and right. Tensions have soared in the West Bank since the 7th of October attacks with near-daily Israeli arrest raids and clashes with Palestinians. Jenin, a militant stronghold, has been a focus of such raids for months. In a statement, the Israel Defense Forces (IDF) said the Hamas suspect was killed had planned an attack inspired by October 7th massacre, and according to its sources in the hospital, about 10 members of Israeli Special Forces dressed in civilian clothes went to the 3rd floor where they were killed men using weapons fitted with silencers. And here is the report.
مستعجبين.
ازاي كل ما كان زي مريض زي النظام
غريبة، ده وحدات خاصة. أريد إصلاحهم نفس الشيء.
سؤالك كيف بدك؟
راحوا ثنتين سوا بسوا
راحت العلامات حالهم في العلم حالهم. السلطة اللي كانت بحمايتهم عساكر 2. داخلين زميلتي.
Around the world, into Africa and across the nation Nigeria. You're still on to the world news on Immaculate Television. And now a brief into the world of entertainment and sports. Nigerian travel content creator Pelumi Nubi is today beginning an attempt to drive from London to Lagos, a journey of more than 7,000 kilometers, about 4,340 miles. From England, Ms. Nubi will cross into France and Spain before entering Africa through Morocco. After that is through the West Sahara Desert, Mauritania, Senegal, the Gambia, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Mali, Burkina Faso, Ivory Coast, Ghana, Togo, Benin, and finally Nigeria before reaching Lagos, Ms. Nubi said of her travel route. While similar driving challenges have been done on the London to Lagos route before, Ms. Nubi said she believed she was the first black woman to attempt the journey. And last week, Ms. Nubi said the trip had taken 1 year of planning and saving. And from reports, an avid traveler, Ms. Nubi has visited 80 countries altogether. She often showcases her travel exploits on her social media accounts, and this would not be an exception. And in sports, host Ivory Coast eliminated reigning champion Senegal in a penalty shootout to book their place in the 2023 African Cup of Nations quarterfinals, following a 1-1 draw after extra time in Yamoussoukro. Frank Kessie, who had scored from the spot 4 minutes from the end of normal time, converted the winning penalty to seal an extraordinary victory for the hosts, who redeemed themselves after a humiliating group stage display which culminated in 2 defeats. Senegal had made a dream start when Habib Diallo struck in the 4th minute from a Sadio Mane cross. The Elephants quarterfinal on Saturday 7 o'clock GMT will pit them against Mali or Burkina Faso, who will play their last 16 tie in Kohogo on Tuesday. Senegal's loss means no reigning champion has made it beyond the first knockout round of African Cup of Nations since Egypt won a 3rd consecutive title in 2010. Ivory Coast was squeezed into the last 16 as one of the best 3rd place teams from the group phase grew into the match against the Teranga Lions despite going behind so early. After an absorbing 90 minutes, the first period of extra time also proved eventful, and it was left to a penalty shootout to determine the team that would progress to the quarterfinals. But a miss from Moussa Niakate handed Ivory Coast the advantage, allowing Kessie to deliver the ultimate redemption for the host nation, who marched on to the quarterfinals. Before we bring the news to a halt, remember that you can follow us on multiple digital platforms. For iPhone users, Limex World TV app is where to find us, and for Android users, NetNiger TV app is where we are. Once and again, thank you for joining. My name is Adolo Akpo Ido, and on behalf of the entire news production crew, as well as the executive producer of this newscast, Eyitayo Folorunsho, say thank you for joining. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.
Wherever, whenever there is a story, that is where you find us. Where the gist is developing, that is where we cast our net. Where there is a drama, you can trust us to act it out. And where there is news, reporting is our delight. Even on the go, we are ready to track it. At Immaculate Television, we bring you the latest, hottest, and spot-on news as it makes the rounds all over the world. Reporting from the nooks and crannies of both rural and urban communities. Talk of politics, business, sports, entertainment, events, and many more. You can trust us with your airtime and view time. Because we are binoculate, we are immaculate television. ITVS.